Well then, this video is going to be about Dune Awakening, and we have some interesting information. We have our first insights into when it might release, and we have some extra details about the gameplay, so let's jump in and let's talk about it. So let's get straight to the point with this release window thing. So what's actually happened recently is that there's been a media showcase behind closed doors, and now there's been an embargo where people can now talk about it. I think that happened at PAX East, it might have been GDC, not really 100% sure. And one of the biggest groups out there, IGN, have made a video, and in that video they state, actually they state it twice, that Dune Awakening is coming to early access at the end of the year or later this year. Now there's quite a few articles that have popped up that don't have this same information in it, so I'm not 100% sure that this is not a mistake by IGN, but that doesn't mean it's not true. Apparently they did like an hour-long presentation to various media, and I'm guessing that at some point during that they said, hey, the game's going to be coming to early access maybe towards the end of the year, but don't talk about that yet, please. And maybe IGN simply did not get the memo. The alternative is that IGN are simply wrong, which, let's be honest, that does happen, mistakes are made. To me though, the overriding likelihood that this is true, simply because we've seen a ramping up of marketing, we had the first Dune Direct, they're showing off trailers and they're obviously showing it to the media, so all signs would point to something sort of soon-ish. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more directs. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear something at Summer Games Fest, which I think is in early June. By the way, June and June basically sound the same to me, and there's nothing I can do about it. I think it's my accent. Actually, in this case, it might just be the word itself. What's funny about this thing though is the reason I even got onto seeing all this information about Dune Awakening was because there was an article that was published talking about how they're trying to say that it'll be released when it's ready and they're not going to rush it. And they actually want to reduce the reputation of Funcom, you know, having some good ideas but some janky gameplay. And early access would sort of make sense if that's the plan. People will forgive a little bit of jank if it's in an early access build, probably less likely if they just came out and straight up released it. Logically speaking, this makes perfect sense. I personally don't like how many early access games we're getting, because you never really feel like you can just fully dive deep into them because you know everything's getting wiped. But if you really like that game, you sort of have to play it because you know that when you do play it, there's a billion people who've all been playing early access. And I don't know, I don't really like that dichotomy, but maybe that's just me. Let's jump into some of the extra details that we spoke about. Some of it is from the IGN video, some of it, as I said, is from various articles that have been published around the interwebs. So to be honest, a lot of the articles are talking about how Funcom are remaining pretty true to the lore. Obviously, there's probably some things that aren't going to make too much sense if you translate the Dune books directly to a video game. There's probably going to have to be a little bit of a leeway there. I haven't watched the films or read the books, so don't hate me, but they talk about how, you know, the Dune walking thing isn't actually in the game, and I don't think it's going to happen. There's going to be some leeway given there, I think, which is fine, but most of the time they're talking about how true to the lore it actually is, which for some people is very important. So there are some details that we already know. For example, Dune Awakening is on Unreal Engine 5.2, it's coming to PC and console. One of the articles says that crossplay is currently being worked on, but it might not be there for launch. Obviously, keep in mind some of this is subject to change, but Level 1 Gaming reports that characters cannot be moved between different servers, and if you want to play with a friend on a different server, then you need to make a new character. They say you can take and use NPC vehicles, and currently there's actually no way to respec your character, which, if I'm honest, sounds pretty crazy, but maybe that kind of commitment will make sense. They also say that there are death penalties, so when you die, your equipment will be damaged. I think you might drop some materials because apparently you can go and retrieve them. I don't know if anybody else could pick them up, I'm not really sure about that. They do say that if you get eaten by the sandworm, then you simply just lose everything. Anything you had equipped, any held spices. Quite a lot is made about the actual survival mechanics. For example, there's one survival mechanic about heat stroke. If you're out in the sun too much, you just start suffering ill effects. You obviously need to have water, but water can be got from a couple of different ways. You can get it from the blood of your enemies. You can get it from some plants, but they say if you get it from plants, then, you know, you might be taking on too much of the fiber from the plant, and that's not good for you. It really sounds like the survival elements are going to be interesting. When it comes to the combat, one article says that they don't really want you fighting around your base. It's not like they want your base to be getting destroyed. they want you to be fighting around objectives, and those objectives really are going to be materials, primarily spice. Harvesting spice, dodging the sandworms, and then battling the enemies who are also trying to get the spice. Yeah, that's the name of the game. You'll probably want to work in a team, because if you're not working in a team, another group will be. One thing that they mention a couple of times is the detail of the character creator, and I've seen 2 images here, and you know what? It actually looks pretty impressive. No notes on it, just looks very interesting. The diversity of character that you can make looks truly fascinating. There's a couple of extra screenshots. One of them is somebody riding a vehicle, a couple of talent trees, but I can't really explain what the talent tree is or how you get to that talent tree. I don't really know. Obviously, the information is too early to say. They also spoke about world events. Now, they sort of already mentioned world events before, because you've got storms. By the way, storms will also just kill you, but there's like storms that might reveal like a PvP area where you have to go get the resources and stuff like that. So there's going to be world events. I don't know if there's going to be any more than that. Not really sure at the moment. When you're actually designing your character after you've decided how they look, you get to decide what home planet you're from, what kind of training you've had, and honestly, it looks pretty damn nice. The map apparently is going to be filled with lots of hidden areas that are going to provide shade, refuge, and that kind of thing. And to be fair, the game just sounds interesting. It looks like you're going to be fighting other people if you want to fight those. It looks like there's going to be like NPC infiltration bases if you want to fight that. All the while you're going to be fighting against the elements. Yeah, if I'm honest, Dune Awakening is sounding really interesting. One thing that they also mentioned is that this is looking like a proper MMO. I know there were some rumors that were contrary to that, but a lot of them sort of emphasize that it is actually an MMO. And they do talk about a choice between PvE and PvP. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Will it be areas of the map? Will it be different servers? That question sort of remains unanswered. Honestly, the game is looking and sounding fantastic. As dubious as I am about early access, I'm looking forward to play it, and if we're playing it this year's IGN sort of state, then that's all the better. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Big shout out to my Patreons. If you want to support me, that truly is the best way. There should be a link in the description, and if you want to come talk to me about this or anything else, then come and follow me over on Twitch. At the minute, I'm playing New World because I like it. I know many of you be like, dead game, but I like it. We'll definitely be trying Dune Awakening when it does come out. For now, have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.